Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Health bosses have been accused of suppressing an emergency declaration at the Launceston General Hospital. Unions say swamped doctors and nurses tried to issue a code yellow, but had the request denied. The department has hit back, insisting the claims are completely wrong.
Hospital ramping has been a familiar health headache in Hobart. Now Launceston is coming under similar pressure in what unions are calling unprecedented.
We've had over 35 admitted patients yesterday afternoon in the LGHED awaiting inpatient beds. We've had over 50 in the department, and ambulances ramped up to 18 hours.
It's also claimed on Saturday night emergency department staff pushed to issue a code yellow.
That's an internal emergency to get some assistance from the wards to deal with the massive increase in presentation, and somewhere up the line that was stymied. That is a disgraceful situation.
Those claims have been backed by the Nurses Union. The Tasmanian Health Service have flat out denied the claims. It said disaster codes were designed for specific events that don't include managing patient flow. It said it was not aware of any circumstances over the weekend that would have required a code yellow. The state government is facing more criticism over its plans to cut nearly $12 million from health inefficiencies.
What we're seeing really is rationing by stealth. Patients everywhere in the hospital system are being bottlenecked, trying to get in and get their services.
We've always tried to put more funding and more staff into our hospitals. We've done exactly that since 2014 with an extra 400 at the LGH.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
A convicted murderer has been banned from the southern part of Tasmania as he's released from jail on parole. Jaden Glenn Montgomery was found guilty of a 2008 stabbing inside the Hobart Target store. 11 years later, he's returning to the community.
A busy Hobart department store becoming a crime scene in the wake of a deadly altercation between two men in 2008.
One of those males has suffered at least 2 stab wounds, and unfortunately he's now deceased.
24-year-old Adrian Fitzpatrick was killed. Then 21-year-old Jaden Glenn Montgomery was found guilty of his murder. The Supreme Court sentencing him to 18 years jail with a non-parole period of 10 years. That period is now up. The parole board publishing a decision today approving his application to be released from prison. But as well as standard conditions, he's also been ordered not to travel south of Oatlands because of the victim's family's overwhelming feelings of loss and anger, saying the loss and the nature of the applicant's offence renders it reasonable to exclude the applicant from areas accessed by the victim's family. The parole board also considered Montgomery's behaviour in prison. He was described as polite, compliant and engaged in work. He'd also completed education and therapeutic programs. A psychological report found he has issues with anger, coping and substance abuse, but these risks are capable of being managed. Now 32 years old, Montgomery's parole extends until 2026. Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
Police are continuing their search for 17-year-old Noah McGowan, who was last seen at Derwent Park on Saturday afternoon. A Tasmania Police task force has searched a number of locations yesterday, finding an item at a Glenorchy home known to have been in his possession. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. We have breaking news now on a controversial development in Tasmania's Central Highlands, with the council's decision to block a fishing retreat at Lake Malvina overturned. Our reporter Michelle Wisby joins us live now with the details. Good evening, Michelle. What does it mean for the project?
Joe, the Planning Appeal Tribunal ruling means the project can go ahead. It overturns the Central Highland Council's decision to block the development. The Lake Malvina proposal is for luxury accommodation camp within the walls of Jerusalem National Park, accessed by helicopter. This was seen as a test case for the government's plans to open up more areas to tourism developments. This afternoon, the project's director Daniel Hackett said with a development application now approved, the company will quickly move forward with the plan. But Joe, environmental and fishing groups have been very outspoken about the proposal, and I'm sure this won't silence them.
Okay, thank you very much for that news. Tasmania's Infrastructure Minister has admitted to providing incorrect information to State Parliament. In question time last week, Labor quizzed Michael Ferguson about the cost of producing a recently released 30-year infrastructure strategy. The Minister told Parliament no money was spent on consultants, but it's since emerged external work was undertaken in the plan's development stage.
This infrastructure 30-year strategy, which was produced by Infrastructure Tasmania and didn't involve the use of consultants.
Every parliamentarian, in my view, does and should do their very best in their job. That does not mean that none of us make mistakes from time to time.
Mr Ferguson today said the work was commissioned before he took over the portfolio and it was an honest mistake. He's expected to correct the record in Parliament next week. Efforts to combat family violence in Tasmania have today been bolstered with a new role created to hone in on prevention. In an Australian first, a primary prevention officer will start work next year in an attempt to end violence across the state.
Signing on to a new partnership aimed at eliminating family violence. This agreement, the first of its kind in Australia, between Tasmania and national peak body Our Watch.
To stop this violence, we need to address behaviours and attitudes that give rise to it in the first place. So primary prevention is all about stopping the violence before it starts.
Today launching a new primary prevention officer role to work with organisations across the state to ensure they're equipped with everything needed to help stamp out the alarming rate of domestic violence.
The sad news is, and many of you will know the statistics, that every week in Australia, on average, a woman dies violently. 45 women have been killed this year.
It's one of the recommendations that came through us through extensive consultations, and that included with hundreds of victims who came forward.
The news comes amid revelations the government spent tens of thousands of dollars gaining accreditation from the now closed anti-domestic violence charity White Ribbon. But the Premier says he doesn't regret spending big on the workplace program.
We don't consider the government expenditures made to have done anything other than to strengthen our capacity as a government to change attitudes.
Recruitment is now underway for the prevention officer, set to start work early next year. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Authorities are investigating a spate of car burglaries which took place at Blackmans Bay in the early hours of this morning. Police say 9 vehicles parked on the side of the road and in private driveways around the Crystal Downs Drive area were broken into. A number of personal items were stolen, including cash. Anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. International delegations are in Tasmania to hold high-level talks on the future of Antarctica. Around 300 people from 26 countries and regions are attending the annual CAMLA meeting, which reviews measures to conserve marine ecosystems. One of this year's key proposals is the possibility of establishing a protected area on Antarctica's east coast. The conference runs for 2 weeks. There's a new sport launching in Tasmania that's set to delight both soccer fans and golfers. Called Footgolf, the game combines the best of both sports with opportunities to make it onto the world stage.
You've heard of golf, you've heard of soccer, but now it's time to meet the latest sporting craze, Footgolf.
Footgolf is a hybrid game of soccer and golf. The aim of the game is to kick off all the time using soccer tactics, obviously, but to get the ball in the hole like golf.
Combining the two sports into one, the game has not been seen here in Tasmania until now.
Footgolf started in the Netherlands, and there are over 30 countries that do footgolf. Here in Tasmania, we've got only the one club that's taken it on.
Riverside Golf Club's latest offering might sound like a novelty, but the sport is gaining recognition across the globe.
It's something that it's not just on a local basis that the game kind of can be played, but it's also striving for some international championship that is played every year.
While there may be international championships, Footgolf isn't just a game for professionals. It's great for families, friends and even social activities.
It's very hard, but look, it's very challenging, and even if people don't play soccer, this is a lot of fun. It's short and sweet.
Riverside Golf Club are holding a come and try session from 1 p.m. this Sunday the 27th of October. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
Preparations for this year's Royal Hobart Show are in full swing, with the event just days away. Showgoers are in for a treat with a range of free events on offer, including an art exhibition showcasing some of Tasmania's best.
A piece of art months in the making, now voted the best at this year's Royal Hobart Show.
It's fantastic, I can't believe it.
The painting of Lake Ballard near Kalgoorlie was named the judges' favourite out of around 200 pieces.
I know the talent that's out there, and so very honoured.
Much of the work on display at the Art on Show exhibition is created by Tasmanian young people.
Quality is just outstanding, which means art for the future, amazing.
Some of the work has been beautiful. It's lovely.
But 90-year-old Margaret Kay is also in the spotlight. She's been crowned the honour of being one of the emerging artists.
I look at a blank piece of canvas and so forth, and I hate looking at a blank, and I just put colour on it.
The exhibition has opened early before the gates of the show swing open on Wednesday.
Well, we've put a lot of effort into a lot of free activities this year. We've got some good quality entertainment coming across from the Big Island. So we've got the Human Cannonball and the Wheel of Steel, which is an acrobatic sort of act.
40,000 people are expected over the 4 days, and organisers are reminding attendees to pack the sunscreen with warm, sunny days ahead. Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
Governments and industry have signed off on a plan to put more than $70 million into marine research. The Cooperative Research Centre will be based in Tasmania and focus closely on aquaculture.
We're going to be bringing more than 40 participants together from across the world to invest in sustainable offshore seafood production and renewable energy development based here in Tasmania.
The centre is expected to be open by the start of next year. A 10-year-old girl has today shaved off her hair for a special cause. Matilda Trotter cut her luscious locks, aiming to raise funds and awareness for those struggling with leukemia.
A snip and a shave for a very special cause. 10-year-old Matilda Trotter cutting her hair, fundraising for cancer research.
Matilda, you're chopping off your hair today. How are you feeling?
Nervous and scared.
Participating in the world's greatest shave, raising money for the Leukemia Foundation.
She just thinks that it's important to raise awareness, and raising money was important to her to be able to help people through their treatment.
Deciding to donate her hair to Variety as well, so it can be turned into wigs for those with post-chemotherapy hair loss.
Well, it goes to people who will make it into wigs for the people with leukemia.
Getting her favourite hairdresser to undergo the transformation, with strict rules in place for how the hair must be donated.
I've sectioned it into 4 plaits. They had to be 14 inches for the regulations. I've chopped them off and then gone over it with a number 5 clipper.
The end result?
I feel different, weird.
Good weird?
Yeah.
And would she do it again?
Maybe when I'm a bit older and my hair's growing longer, yeah.
Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian logo design has been chosen for next year's Special Olympics Junior National Games. Designed to represent the iconic King's Bridge at the Cataract Gorge, it's hoped the logo will help inspire the community to get behind the event.
This city and this state has really been committed to demonstrating inclusion, and we felt that this was a great partnership to push that journey forward for the rest of the nation.
The Junior National Games will be held in Launceston from the 19th to the 21st of October 2020.
The Tasmanian Tigers have been dealt a harsh reality check at the hands of a star-studded New South Wales squad in the side's Sheffield Shield clash in Sydney, while the Hobart Hurricanes have returned home following an impressive start to their WBBL campaign. With the Tigers 9 wickets down, the Blues circled in for the kill. The visitors' bottom order holding on for as long as they could before Mitchell Starc claimed his 5th scalp for the innings and 10th for the match, needing just 45 runs to secure victory and boasting arguably the best batting lineup in the tournament. David Warner and Daniel Hughes got to work at the crease. Hughes falling on 25, with Steve Smith lasting just 4 balls, but the damage had already been done as Moses Henrique secured the 8-wicket win on the next delivery. Meantime, the Hobart Hurricanes are sitting pretty on top of the WBBL ladder, following 2 wins from their opening 2 matches against the Melbourne Stars, with the side's fresh faces proving their worth.
Perfect start for this campaign. We've had a few new recruits that have stood up. There must have been a few nerves, I guess, in the opening round as well, but to see how they perform was brilliant for this group.
The Canes take on the Strikers and the Heat in Brisbane this weekend. Following standout years on the footy field, 2 of the state's most exciting female players are set to realise their dreams of playing at the highest level, with Launceston's Mia King and Abby Green expected to be snatched up in tomorrow's AFLW draft. Proving herself as one to watch in 2019, 18-year-old Mia King was honoured with All-Australian selection following a stellar under-18 championships for the Eastern Allies, and the inside midfielder's efforts haven't gone unnoticed amongst AFLW talent scouts, expected to be picked up by North Melbourne in the 3rd round of tomorrow's draft.
She's pretty comfortable. She knows she's going to get taken. You don't get All-Australian for nothing, and she's been in that mix for the past 3 years.
Also predicted to join King on the Kangaroos list for 2020, Launceston ruck Abby Green, who got herself on the radar thanks to a dominant year for the Blues in the TSLW.
Very athletic, tall and strong. Had a terrific start to the TSLW season this year, which really put a hand up and suits North's needs, which is absolutely fantastic for us and for her, of course.
If the pair are drafted tomorrow, up to 10 Tasmanians could be playing in the AFLW in 2020, with that number set to continue to rise into the future.
Just looking through the list today, the under-17 group has probably got 5 draftable, which is a very healthy position to be.
To Hockey 1 and the Tassie Tigers men's side remain in the hunt for finals following a desperately needed win over the Canberra Chill overnight. In danger of slipping out of the mix following a disastrous performance against Brisbane on Friday night, 4 goals from captain Eddie Ockenden saw the Tigers bounce back to remain in the top 4 with a 6-2 win.
We're 2-2, so we know we had a bit of work today. We had to win today, and we managed to play pretty well today and get the points. So I think it sets us up really well for the last 2 games in Hobart, so we're pretty keen for that.
The women remain winless and lingering on the bottom of the league ladder after dropping both their matches, with the sides now preparing to take on Melbourne in Hobart this weekend.
Good evening. Fingal, the warmest around the state today with 25 degrees. Hobart and Launceston 22, Burnie 23 and Devonport 17. Most temperatures above average today with sunny conditions over most of the state. A few showers though over Bass Strait and the west. Campania 23 degrees. Ouse 21, Friendly Beaches 20, St Helens 19 and Liaweenie 18, Strawn and the Islands 15. Now here's the cloud over Bass Strait and the west. Most of the showers overnight and early this morning, and plenty of that cloud flushing to the north and south of the state. That cloud also clipped southern Victoria. Mid to high cloud wafts over South Australia and central WA. Afternoon cumulus built up over eastern Queensland and northeast New South Wales. Tomorrow a high pressure system pushes up over the Tasman Sea, extending a ridge over Tasmania. Several troughs and low zones sit over the mainland. Winds west to southwesterly 10 to 20 knots, a shift to the west-northwest in the afternoon with winds more northerly down the east coast later. Hobart partly cloudy for Tuesday, warming up to 21 degrees. 17 the top for Adventure Bay, mostly sunny for Tarraleah, 21. Launceston 22, partly cloudy, bit of cloud over Devonport, 17, and also for Bridport on 15 degrees. Burnie, a top of 18 and partly cloudy, Strawn 17 and Marrawar 15 degrees. And for St Helens, 18 the top, along with Swansea, partly cloudy over Flinders Island, Whitemark 17. On Wednesday, fine apart from light showers over the far south, light winds and afternoon sea breezes. Fine on Thursday, freshening northwesterlies, and on Friday, showers over the west extending statewide late morning, although little over the east coast. Sunny and warm over Perth and Adelaide tomorrow, fine and 20 in Melbourne. Looking good over Canberra and Sydney, partly cloudy but fine in Brisbane. And Darwin turning up the heat tomorrow. Still sunny in Hobart at 16. 18 right now in Launceston, 17 in Devonport. Joe, conditions looking promising for the first day of the Royal Hobart Show on Thursday. 27 degrees and fine and sunny. I'm really looking forward to the human cannonball who's coming down this year. He's a brand new human cannonball. Apparently the last bloke got fired.
great. That's better than the dog trial joke you usually tell. Thank you very much, Murph. And that's all from the news team for now. We'll see you a little later with updates. Bye-bye.